in this past week. We've been having tons of technical issues, especially with Schoology. Schoology is a platform that when they built it, I am certain that they did not have the server capacity to be able to handle all of the schools in the country going online at one time. And so if you've been struggling with Schoology during the past week, I totally get that. Let me show you a couple different things. I've been doing digital learning with my AP kids for a long time with like review sessions and whatever. And we've been building you guys up for this sort of learning because it's an element that you'll see in college. And so what I've got going on for you is, first of all, your text questions have been done electronically since the beginning of the semester. If you joined me at the end of first semester, if you've been with me all year long, this is the way that a lot of schools will do their sorts of instruction that is digitally done, and we'll be able to continue the same. So I'm going to be farming out to you text questions coming up soon for chapter 24 and beyond. Chapter 23 was due this past week. So if you've not submitted yet, please do. But be prepared for the fact that on Schoology, you may find that Schoology is not the easiest to work with during normal business hours, because you've got every state in the country that's trying to use this product. What I also wanted to keep in mind is we're still wrestling with what our country should be doing to deal with that. And so it's been very interesting, especially for you guys being in a US history class currently. We've got a president right now who is conservative. He is somebody who leans in a more Harding, Coolidge, Hoover sort of way when it comes to dealing with business and being hands-off and whatever. And we're discovering parts of our society that has infrastructure that is not prepared for the stuff that we're trying to do with it. For you guys, when it comes to our internet connections, servers, and whatever, we are discovering some of the weaknesses that we have with telecommunication currently. What was interesting, though, is that the president yesterday has gone over the past couple of weeks. He has moved away from the idea of like laissez-faire, hands-off business, let's let the businesses run themselves. He's now been creeping more and more towards the idea of government stimulus. He just passed a bill that is going to be giving away tons of relief and recovery to businesses and private individuals, kind of like Franklin Roosevelt did during the Great Depression. And if you see a Republican doing something like this, the situation has to be pretty serious for somebody like the president to be considering that sort of action, since it's not in line with where he's been politically and philosophically. Just yesterday, the president came out with an announcement of even more relief and recovery. If you remember us talking about like the WPA and the CCC and other works programs, the president announced that he wants to create a multi-trillion-dollar program that would create works projects for people who are now unemployed to build like roads and other sorts of things to build up our infrastructure, kind of like you saw FDR and Eisenhower doing with the Interstate Highways or Work Production Act. We had the Rural Electrification Act that FDR did that brought electricity to farmers. It would not surprise me to see the government doing something soon to deal with the fact that there are some kids and some schools that are really struggling with internet connections right now. So that's kind of the state of the field that we have. But also one of the elements that we have been studying throughout the course of our class is the battle between states' rights and the federal government. So over the past 2 days, there's been an announcement that if we do everything right in the United States, we're looking at casualty rates of between 100,000 to 240,000 people. That's more than have died in most of our wars of the 20th century. And so that's something where when we talk about that number, let me see here. Sam, why did I get laid off? You got laid off? Who laid you off?
My job.
What job laid you off?
Brugger's.
Brugger's? Oh, well,
Yeah.
big problem that they have. What's that?
Why am I getting laid off?
The problem that they're having is demand. And so the dilemma that they're wrestling with is, if you remember when we did our study of Franklin Roosevelt and the works programs, the idea was that private businesses are going to start laying people off because of the fact that demand is dropping. And there's a lot of Americans who aren't buying takeout food because they're worried about what might happen with coronavirus. So what Franklin Roosevelt argued is that we should create like the CCC or WPA to hire you for a government job because private businesses are firing people. And that's what President Trump is talking about, is taking somebody like yourself, probably a little bit older since you're still at school age. But he's talking about like hiring construction workers to work on like building roads, bridges, internet connections, because the company that's employing them has now laid them off. I'm sorry you lost your job, though. That's bad.
Yeah, no. Can you plug me with the job? I mean,
Can I plug you with a job?
yeah, I need a job. Where's
What,
those
what,
road
do you,
jobs?
what do you want to do for me?
I'll babysit your kids.
I've got a kid that's your age. I think my daughter's on autopilot right now. We're all good. But thanks, Sam. If I hear of anything, I'll let you know.
All right.
So what I also want to remind you of, though, is remember throughout the course of our class, we have been talking about the idea of states' rights versus federal government. You guys learned about confederacy versus federalism. So let me show you this as well. The number that was thrown around was the idea that if you do everything right with like social distancing and staying at home, we could potentially see 100,000 to 240,000 people who pass away. This is the battle that we see going on right now, though. In the state of Texas, the state of Texas is arguing that religious services like going to church is an essential job. So part of the reason why Sam got laid off is working at Brugger's is not seen as an essential job right now. They're arguing that going to church, though, should be seen as an essential job, even though if you congregate in an area like a church, you will then be able to spread coronavirus really quickly. And there's a lawsuit that's right now working that's arguing that according to the Constitution with the First Amendment, you can't tell churches they can't meet because of the fact that that is an infringement on religion. The dilemma that we're facing, though, is if this freedom of religion is allowed, then coronavirus can pass more easily and our casualty rates will most likely go up. And so the stuff that we've been focusing on in class, when you and I have been talking about history, this is the reason why you have a debate during a coronavirus about what can the federal government do, what should they be doing, and that's very much what you were studying at the time that we got interrupted. For us, though, let me get back to my class and highlight for you guys where we're going. A couple different things that you should be aware of. President Trump over the past month has gone from saying that coronavirus was a hoax, kind of like the flu. That's why you and I were still in school in March. He knew back in January that potentially this stuff could be happening, and he hoped that it wouldn't. And so right now, we're wrestling with the fact that now many of our medical facilities in New York, Atlanta, Washington State are now facing rising numbers of people who are looking for resources. Most likely, we're not going to see each other personally until the end of April, and I think that is really optimistic. President Trump yesterday came around to the idea that we need to be out for at least 30 days. And the idea of us coming back in time for Easter or whatever isn't something that we're actually seeing as a reality. Because of that, your school is trying to figure out what do we do with your grades and what do we do with assessment and how do we proceed from here. And also, if you take a look, we've got 27 people in this chat. I've got a class of like 65. And so half of the kids that are supposed to be here with us aren't, but I'm hoping that they dip into the recording instead so that they're able to watch this later on. But this first week is very much about just helping you guys. Since we have not been doing a lot of flip class stuff in our class with US history, it's kind of getting you trained in and kind of figuring out what our systems can do. So the first thing I'd like to mention to you is Schoology is really struggling hard. So if I dip back here to showing you my screen, Schoology has been having lag issues. I sent you out a message 2 hours ago telling you that we were having a Google Meet, and most likely you did not receive that message. And I've got some kids who are telling me that they're getting these messages like 6 to 8 hours late. I'd like to show you these things then to keep you safe. Number one, I would open up all of these things on your Chromebook so that you don't ever need to go to Schoology during the school day. The first thing I would open up on your Chromebook is this e-learning daily attendance. So I would click here and then open it up in this spot and take your attendance daily. So click off what class period you're in, type in your name so that your attendance gets taken care of. But yesterday, Schoology was malfunctioning so badly that they didn't even want us to mess around with attendance anymore because late into the evening, it was still having problems. I'd also like you to have this tab open on your Chromebook, and I'd like you to get it out of Schoology. So you've got this Google document. This is where I'm going to be doing a lot of communication with you. So over the past week, I have been holding Google Meets. And you, if you've been tuning in, great. If you've been looking for the recordings, I'm going to post the recordings underneath here. So if you can't be here, like let's say you've got a job or whatever, and you're going off and you can't be here at 10 a.m., we will be meeting at 10 a.m. every single day to kind of go over what we're doing in class. So here is your link for the attendance. Here is the link. I'll need to get the link for our Google sessions as well. So I will put this up as a link here. And I apologize. I'm trying to juggle a bunch of stuff together. I'm just going to jot this down right now just so I can get this done for you guys and have it here. So I'll have these available right here if you want to have these open. Or if you want to share with other people who might not be getting this. This will allow you to dip into a Google document, not have to worry about going back to Schoology. But then also, if you check your email today, I sent off an email to you guys through Infinite Campus that shouldn't break down for you guys as far as a communication tool. So hopefully, if you checked out your email, you were able to see my instructions right there. What you're going to be doing for tomorrow is just getting prepared for this assessment. So you've got an assessment that we're going to be doing to cover the material that we were working on and that we were supposed to test on before we went into spring break. You're going to find that inside your Schoology materials is this breakdown right here. And let me put the breakdown into your file and get it off of Schoology for you. Tomorrow's assessment is going to be simple. You're going to be doing short answer writing for each of the elements going out chapter 20 through 22 that the 10th grade teachers believe should be seen as fundamental knowledge to know as we move forward. My assumption is that because this is going to be open notebook, open textbook, you should be able to do great with each of these questions. And when you get these questions, you should try your best to do these off the top of your head. But if you can't, look back through your notes, try to get a perfect score. I'm not anticipating that you're going to be doing this without notes. We just want you to have these big ideas as we move forward. Your district has been getting information from the federal government, from President Trump for the better part of 2 months. President Trump knew back in January that what we're experiencing now could have happened. He hoped that it wouldn't. So he kept telling people that, you know, it's going to pass when the weather gets warmer, things are going to get better. While experts were telling him maybe we need to prepare for the worst case scenario, we've now got the worst case scenario. Inside of the state of Minnesota and our district, though, was listening to the president. So we didn't know if we would be out of school, how long we would be out of school. And now that we know that we're going to be out of school for a while, we don't know what your grading is going to look like. We don't know if it's going to be A through NC. Our district is discussing that currently. We don't know what we're going to be doing with testing, since when you're at home, there's no way to monitor you. So I can see Sam right now doing some sort of dancing and singing, I'm assuming. But I can't really monitor him to make sure that he's like not cheating on a test. And so with that reality, we have to figure out a different way to move forward. But we're also hoping for insights from the district as far as what our future assessments will be. So tomorrow you can plan on multiple questions that you'll be writing out. We'll be submitting these through Turnitin. So if you copy from the internet or else you're stealing from other people, this will have a negative impact on your grade. These will be due tomorrow. So you'll want to make sure that you come to our 10 a.m. session. I will open up the assessment for you, and then you will have the day to finish that up. We'll then be getting new homework next week. And we'll be moving into chapters 23 and 24 at that time, once we get this content wrapped up. The thing that I've got for you then today is with this breakdown, I will be staying online for a bit. So what I would encourage you to do is I would encourage you to take a look down this breakdown sheet. I've got a chat sitting up in front of me. So if you've got any questions that you would like to have me do to you guys, make sure you look down this list and see if there's anything you need to have retaught. If you're feeling good with all of this information, this will be the end of our online session today. This is the work that you should be working on tonight. So you're able to walk in tomorrow and able to do an assessment on these things you're going to be writing in your own words to answer any of these questions that might pop up. So this is the final thing I want to leave off with you guys then. Before you guys are too deep into the day, make sure you complete your online attendance form. Make sure you open up these documents. Make sure you're back here with me at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And at 10 a.m. tomorrow, what you will find is that under Friday, April 3, there will be a Google Meet link that is right here. In about an hour, I will have a recording session for you right here that you will then be able to dip into if you need to look up at anything that we've done here. Or if you need to go, I hear somebody online whose microphone is still open, who's got little ones with you. If you're watching, you need to go back to doing that. And then when you get a free moment, you want to dip back to me, you can absolutely do that. But what I want you guys to do is if there's anybody who does have questions, stay in this chat room, or else if you want to watch other people ask questions, you can. Let me know in the chat or else by unmuting your microphone which of these things you need me to reteach. And then if you don't need anything, feel free to dip out of this chat. It's good to see you guys today. I miss seeing you guys in person. Hopefully you guys are doing okay. But as you guys filter out of this chat, I will then shut down the chat when either questions stop coming or everybody leaves. And then hopefully tomorrow everything goes well for you. Good. So I'll stay online. I'll hang out with you guys. Feel free to throw into the chat or open up your microphone if you do have any questions. Otherwise, feel free to filter out and have a great day, you guys. Stay healthy, wash your hands, and maintain distance. At this point, with no questions posted in the chat and nobody unmiking, I will then end the recording right now. I will post it later. If you decide either A, you need questions answered later on, Laura and I now see your questions, so I'll be able to help you out with that in just a second. If you discover that there's questions that you need to have answered, once I end this chat, do not hesitate to send me an email if you would like me to do a Google Meet like this where we can talk face to face and I can show you stuff digitally. Feel free to indicate if that's what you would like me to do as well. So as we take a look at Yalta, you've got a couple different meetings that are happening at the end of World War II. Yalta is the meeting that happens with Franklin Roosevelt and Churchill and Stalin. And what they're discussing is this is the point where Germany is towards the end of the war, and they're having a discussion to talk about what's going to happen in Europe after Germany gets defeated. And what they agree to is that they're going to try to spread democracy to the world and give freedom to all of these countries like Poland and Czechoslovakia and other countries that are in Eastern Europe that were dominated by the Germans. The Potsdam Conference that you see in the next section right down here, and let me jump back to this document right here. The Potsdam Conference is going to be the one that happens after Germany is defeated between Stalin and Truman and Clement Attlee, the new British prime minister. And it's at that meeting that Russia announces they would like to help us out against Japan. But it's also at this meeting where Russia is telling the United States that they're not going to free the Eastern Bloc countries, that Poland and Yugoslavia and other countries are going to stay under Russian control so they can use them as a buffer against invasions that are going to happen in the future. And so it's at that point at Potsdam that America starts getting the feeling that maybe Russia is now done with being our friend, because we were only together because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. We all hated Germany together. Potsdam really shows that Russia and the United States are about to become enemies, as they're trying to figure out ways to either spread communism in Russia's case or hold back the spread of communism in the United States' case. So, Lauren, that's a great question. Is there any other questions you guys have before I wrap up with you guys today? And again, keep in mind, if you post later on, not to this spot, but send me an email, send me a Schoology message. I can reteach anything else. So do a quick scan to see if there's anything else here that is throwing you off. But otherwise, if you see nothing and you want to dip out of this chat, you certainly can. I will then put this up later so you can watch the recording. And like I said, feel free to message me about any needs that you have. Lauren, it appears that you and I are the last ones here in this room. If you want to unmute, you can. But if you don't want to unmute, you don't need to. Or she left. All right.